What should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody.
And you're going to see a lot of congressmen with red faces when they follow this paper trail back to members of Congress, ma'am. And that's the bottom.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Brylan. So one of the biggest frauds in American history just keeps getting worse. Who'd have thunk? You know, all these elites in our government, the bureaucrats, the unelected officials, the left, all the Democrats screaming and crying about everything that's being found out, all the fraud that's coming to light. The reason why they're screaming for it to stop is because they know the deeper we look, the worse it gets for them. And of course, with the mainstream media having been on the government's payroll under the Biden administration, for more on that, go check out my video, The Biggest Scandal in American History Uncovered. That'll blow your mind. Well, it turns out that some of the fired USAID victims featured on CBS were actually just consultants and not employees. They can't even get this right. You know, we talk about government incompetence. Well, this is just another example of the government botching their own cover-up. Real quick, would you consider hitting that thumbs up button? You know, when you like this video, you're not agreeing with the insanity, but you're helping push it out to more people to help spread the truth. Now, this is 60 Minutes, who we all know is the enemy of the American people. They put a quote here, and they say that this was said by Christina Dreyer. She's in this video of this clip we're about to watch. And they go on, who was fired in the USAID shutdown. Keep that in mind.
People are really scared. I think that, 12 days ago, people knew where their next paycheck was coming from. They knew how they were going to pay for their kids' daycare, their medical bills, and then all gone overnight.
All gone overnight for Christina Dry and Adam Dubard, fired this month in the chaotic shutdown of foreign aid distributed by the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. More than 8,000 USAID employees were sent home by the administration.
Good. 8,000 is not nearly enough. And I said this in my video that I did on USAID. Look, it's such an absolute, it's like the worst of the worst when it comes to fraud. USAID is their symbol here. They want you to think that that's what they are. And 60 Minutes here is still trying to push the narrative that this is an aid organization, when in reality, what they really are is far more dangerous than you could possibly imagine. Go watch my video, USAID is more dangerous than you could imagine.
They're not looking for competency. They're not looking for if you're good at your job. They're looking for pure loyalty tests. And if you don't give it, you will be punished.
And they had to leave the building. And these are folks who had decades and decades of public service serving USAID across administrations, from, George Bush to Obama to the first Trump administration. And they were never able to walk back in the building again.
Clearly, 60 Minutes is trying to make them look like victims. Clearly, they are portraying themselves as victims. And this is all just to try to cover up, the massive fraud within USAID, to try to get the American people to look at these two, to this man and this woman, and go, oh, I feel so bad for them. This must be a horrible thing that's happening within our government, this accountability that's happening. So we shouldn't have any accountability. We should just continue on letting the corruption rule. Look at this. During Sunday night's 60 Minutes episode on CBS, the show featured two people who allegedly lost their jobs due to President Donald Trump's government cuts to play on viewers' emotions. Neither Dry nor Dubbard were among the USAID employees who were fired, since they didn't work for the agency. In fact, when you listen to their interviews, they hint at it, trying to make it sound like they're the victims. But she actually says in some of her comments, she refers to the fired workers as they and not herself.
They had to leave the building.
Eric Erickson said, when Dems are in charge, the press highlights beneficiaries of policies. When Republicans are in charge, the press highlights victims of policies. You never heard from the people who lost their jobs when Biden killed the Keystone XL. Hey, if you get value from my content, would you consider supporting my channel? You can check out my Patreon page. It'll be the top link in the description of this video. There's 3 tiers here, but if you join the fellowship, then you get access to my Discord server where we can hang out online and get to know each other on a more personal level. And you'll also join my creative team to help shape the future of this channel. Thank you for your support, and I look forward to getting to know you more personally. In fact, I thought this commenter on this article said it pretty well. Amazing that so many people seem to think that part of the federal government's responsibility is to provide lifelong public service jobs for people with taxpayer money. You know, that's never how our constitutional republic was set up. That's never how it was supposed to be run. The reason these two are on there is because 60 Minutes in the mainstream media, again, who was on the payroll for the Biden administration, they felt they would be able to sell their story, their victimhood, and try to get the American people to sympathize with them and be against what's going on in our government right now of cutting all this fraud and taxpayer waste. Now, I love how Kevin O'Leary puts a lot of what he says, but listen to how he puts DOGE cutting all this waste and fraud in the federal government. He said this on CNN. Listen to this.
I think the issue is they're not whacking enough. There's this concept in private equity when you get a bankrupt company and you go in there, you cut 20% more than your initial read. And then you find like a pool of mercury, the organization gels back together again. Always cut deeper, harder when there's fat and waste. Fat like a chicken. All of these agencies are like big fat chickens dripping over barbecues of fat. This is the best barbecue I've ever seen, but I don't think it's happening fast enough. They're not cutting enough. Keep slashing, keep hacking while you have a 24-month mandate before the midterms.
You know, Kevin O'Leary is absolutely spot on here. They need to actually speed things up. Continue cutting, get rid of as much waste, as much of these fraudsters, these jokesters, as fast as they can.
As we know, there's a massive amount of fraud in this country. You have, for example, foreign fraud rings. These are foreign nationals who come into the United States. They use fake Social Security numbers, they use fake identities to steal billions in taxpayer benefits. There's no way to know until DOGE gains full access exactly how much money we're talking about. But over a 10-year normal budget window, you could be talking about saving over $1 trillion by clamping down on massive fraud in our tax and entitlement systems.
And that's what the elites, the cabal, the left does not want to happen. They don't want there to be any accountability within our government, within all this fraud. You gotta love Tim Burchett. The way that this man just gives it right back to the left and to the mainstream media who think they're throwing out little gotcha moments. He gives it right back in such an awesome way.
Right, but you know, I think that there's a lot of Americans who are supportive of this effort to clear out government waste, including members of Congress on both sides of the aisle. But there's also concern by how much access Musk and DOGE staffers have to their private sensitive data. You're also on the House Oversight Committee, and given what we just talked about, Musk's investments with China and billions of dollars before the government, and now, you know, potentially having access to all this private sensitive data and not having full transparency on what is happening with that.
Yes, ma'am.
What information do you actually have on what DOGE is doing with that data? What are your questions? What do you want to know? Certainly, as a member of the oversight, you have some questions.
Now, real quick, don't believe for a second that she actually means what she's saying here or that she genuinely wants an answer to this question, because I'm going to show you proof in just a second after we watch Tim's epic response here, where he just blows her out of the water. I'm going to show you proof that the left, that mainstream media, doesn't care about people's information, personal information being accessed.
Well, first of all, Elon Musk, when he owned PayPal, they never had a breach of securities. The only reason you'd have questions is if you're doing something crooked. And you're going to see a lot of congressmen with red faces when they follow this paper trail back to members of Congress, ma'am. And that's the bottom line. And where were they fussing the last 3 or 4 years? I mean, we've had These groups different groups have access. Hundreds of different people have access to this that are nowhere in the scope of what needs to be. And yet no one raised one peep about it. Now Elon Musk gets a hold of it, and he's going to do something. He's going to make some changes that need to be made. And y'all are pitching a fit.
Now, if you'll remember, about 6 months ago or so, this was during the Biden administration, there was a massive Social Security number breach. And this is what mainstream media tried to push on you. This comes from Vox, a horrid mainstream media outlet. They said that massive Social Security number breach is actually a good thing. Oh, really? And not just their social security numbers, but all their private information as well. In fact, it was an estimated 2.9 billion records, including names, addresses, and social security numbers, may have been affected. But no, it was. They were affected. Almost everybody in America had their social security number linked to foreign hackers because of the incompetence of our government. And then they want to stand on their high horse and cry foul when the Trump administration is trying to clean things up and get rid of these actors who don't actually know how to protect your information. They're just in it to make a buck and get benefits for the rest of their lives. In fact, I think Caroline Leavitt said it so well. She posted this on X. To all the Democrats who are planning to protest this week, here's an explanation on DOGE from your party's own beloved leaders.
Budget reform is not an option. It's a necessity.
The American people are entitled to transparency.
We can't sustain a system that bleeds billions of taxpayer dollars on programs that have outlived their usefulness or exist solely because of the power of politicians, lobbyists, or interest groups.
They're entitled to be able to figure out where their dollars are going, and they're entitled to accountability to make sure that we're using the dollars for what we said it was for.
We are going to go through our federal budget, as I promised during the campaign, page by page, line by line, eliminating those programs we don't need and insisting that those that we do need operate in a sensible, cost-effective way. What should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody.
We hope to be instilling an entire new culture that not only our administration, but every succeeding administration will in fact pursue.
No amount of waste is acceptable, not when it's your money.
So let's all thank President Obama and Biden for DOGE. You know, Psalm 37 is a powerful reminder that the wicked are getting what is coming to them. They will not get away with their scheming, their fraud, their trickery. Look at verse 14 and 15 with me here. It says, the wicked draw the sword and bend their bows to bring down the poor and needy, to slay those whose way is upright. Their sword shall enter their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. You know, they can scheme and scam and fraud all they want, but all of their wicked schemes will come back to be the cause of their own destruction. But hey, let me know your thoughts about all this in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, join this community. I would love to hear from you on a regular basis. And please hit that thumbs up button. You know, when you like this video, to get pushed out to more people, and it would really help spread the truth. All right, I'll see you in the next video.